Hey Joe, how are you?
Good, Sarah. How are you doing?
Good. Nobody is here yet.
Well, we're here.
Um, yeah, amen. So it's an interesting conversation we were having yesterday. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are worried about niching down, but I think that's probably the best thing you could possibly do. It creates a lot more clarity. You know what I mean? And the other thing people don't realize about niching is that like you can try different niches, and then if it doesn't work, like I wouldn't recommend revamping your whole entire website and make it this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you just try the niche first, like it could consist of getting 20 people in that niche and sending out some messages on LinkedIn that nobody else to know other than them, that you're trying to focus, that you're saying things like, I have an analysis of the Boeing 401k plan, Mr. and Mrs. Boeing employee. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
People get very like, because marketing is often like presented as a whole thing. It's a whole system. It's a whole big thing. But the reality of it is it really is just communication, nothing more than that. So it could be, it doesn't have to be the whole infrastructure set up for everything, you know? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Wow, everybody like came to this webinar like all at once. This is so exciting. I had like 0 people 3 seconds ago. Okay, so everybody, thank you for being here. I've called you all here. Some of you have come to me and some of you have called here individually. And the reason is that I feel strongly about the idea of transparency, and I want to make it my personal and professional goal to help the transparent advisors to take over the internet. And so I have skills in internet marketing. I've mentioned programs. Some of you are on the program already. Some of you are thinking about the program or whatever. Some of you are kind of on the program. Okay, whatever. Okay, so there's different things I'm going to talk about, ways that I can help you. But I also, even if you take nothing else from this webinar, I want to talk with you about things that you should be doing to set yourself up for success on the internet. And so here's the point that I want to make. As flat fee, advice only, hourly, maybe thinking about converting, maybe hybrid models, whatever your model is, okay? You're not a wholesale, you're not working for AXA Insurance, and you're not working for a broker dealer, and you're not working for one of these behemoth RIA firms that's going to kind of strap you to the big brand. So here's what I want to say is that you have unlimited potential, but you have to be creative. You have to put your heart into it, and you have to really pound. And if you do that, then it can really work. The advantage that you don't realize that you have is nimbleness and flexibility. And so as we talk, I'm going to talk with you about how to use different tools. I can give you suggestions about how to align yourself using different tools. Okay, these tools are included in my programs. If you don't want to engage, you can't or whatever, that's cool too. But I just want you to know that you can access these tools in many cases for free if you can do it by yourself anyways. And the reason I've called you here is because I believe in your moral character, and I wouldn't be wasting my time creating these programs if I didn't. You know, I have a business that is aside from what I'm doing here with the flat fee and the advice only and the hourly. I've got my own show going on in the other arena, okay? And thanks be to God, I'm able to support my family, and thanks, all glory to God, have had success with that, okay? But I'm here because I sincerely, before I die, want to make an impact on this world. And I want the people who are honest and forthright and clear and who have taken it upon themselves to take, sorry to say it, but in many cases, not everyone, but in some cases at first, maybe a pay cut, okay, or who have gone the challenging route. I want to be behind those people because I know how much harder it is. But I'm going to tell you today that it doesn't have to be. If you can learn how to use the internet to your advantage, voila. So let's talk about how we can do that, okay? Thank you all for being here. You know, I'm not personal with my business. This is a business, but it means a lot to me that as a business person, you are who you are with your integrity, your character, and your morals. And that's why I've called you. So it means a lot to me that you're here because, to be honest with you, sometimes I encounter people and I have to work with them, sometimes through my choice, sometimes through not my choice. but I don't really like it, you know, sometimes the things that I have to say, the things they say and do, you know, so just thank you for being here personally. I want to thank you. Now, by the way, I always say this, if you need captioning or anyone has like any kind of special needs, requires accommodation, you can use the captioning if you're hard of hearing. Okay, so this, I'm going to talk about the components of my do you know about my flat fee advisor marketing program here? Flat fee advisor marketing.com is one of them. Adviceonlymarketing.com is the other one. And then I'm doing an hourly one that's basically this similar to these in the modularity of it, the offerings of it, but it's just targeted towards hourly. Okay, so, but I'm going to talk with you about what you should be doing and why these, okay, and this is why if I were a flat fee advisor, didn't have a lot of resources of time or like, you know, didn't have a huge gazillion-dollar marketing budget, this is what I would do, okay? And this is why these are on my program. This is what my program includes, okay? There's an ebook, 47 written for you financial advisor. We call them sales messages, LinkedIn messages, okay? The reason that this is part of my program is because on your own time, as you're like, this is not somebody's going to do it for you, okay? You have to do this part yourself. You should be sending out messages over LinkedIn, and you absolutely should be sending messages out over LinkedIn every day. You should put it as a priority, make it a habit to be messaging 3 to 5 people a day about something. I don't care if they're colleagues, if they're other financial advisors. A lot of you went to my immersion. A lot of you come to my virtual meetups. What would it take you to message 3 to 5 people a day over LinkedIn? Does anybody have 2 minutes? Can anybody make 2 more minutes in their day? Put a comment in the chat if you cannot make 2 more minutes in the day. I will help you find ways, because I'm someone that, you know, I have 4 children in this whole business thing, right? You know the things I do, right? I sometimes feel like I can't find 2 minutes, but I always manage to find 2 minutes. So I want each of you to find 2 minutes. If you're on my program, I want you to get the financial advisor ebook. If I haven't sent it to you yet, I will. Just send me a note, okay? But you need to be messaging out to people, prospects, centers of influence, financial advisors. I really don't care if it's 3 messages a day. Think about what would happen if you messaged 3 people that you don't normally talk to every day, okay, over LinkedIn, and just said, hey, I was wondering if we could collaborate, because I was having some ideas about the poor widows that are getting really treated underhandedly by the awful Social Security system. You have to be fluid with these ideas, okay? So this is why in my basic program, I've included messages for you that you could use. They are written for you, but you have to take your hand and type them and send them, okay? You must do it, but they are written for you, financial advisor LinkedIn messages. It's in an ebook, neatly organized. To make it even better, you can message me if you're not sure how to apply these messages to whoever it is you're trying to talk to. The other thing in this program is everybody says, well, that's great, Sarah, that I should go out there and market, but I don't have time to write content. So here's what I'm doing. I've created, even if you're not on my program, you should be doing once a month, you've got to do 500 words, okay? You got to come up with 500 words of insight. Now, if you, again, don't have time to do this, you should somehow find time. If you don't have time to type it out and organize it and everything, you should hire a ghostwriter and just transcribe thoughts into a text file, like however you do it in your phone, like maybe you're in the doctor's office. Does anybody ever go to the doctor? God have mercy on all of us. I think we all have to, right? Maybe like once a month, or we have one annoying appointment a month, right? That you go, maybe you're at the DMV, maybe you're getting your car serviced, whatever, right? And you're in the waiting room. Take your phone and just talk for like 2 minutes and be like, you know, today I had a meeting with a business owner that wasn't really sure how to sell his or her business. And so these were the 5 things that I said to that person, 5 things. Make a little text file, go on Upwork, get some blogger, be like, this is the text file, make a blog for me, I'll pay you $50. Somebody could pay you $50. You could pay somebody $50 to do that, okay? So, but don't worry, if you're on my program, I've included it. It's one written for you content piece. And guess what? You can customize it to your own brand. So let me show you. This is the flat fee one. So I told you I have flat fee advisor marketing. I have advice only marketing. I'm gonna do hourly marketing. My website guy is taking forever and ever. I don't know why. I hope he's never gonna see this replay. He won't. He's not on the distribution list. But anyways, I like him. He's been my IT guy for a long time. He does a great job. Anyways, this is, for example, the flat fee piece for April. Now, oh no, sorry. Yes, okay. I've written this customized to flat fee advisors. Now, flat fee advisors, when you write a blog, don't just have it be this Roth conversion. That's what everyone else is going to do. That's what all the Buckingham people are going to do. That's what all the LPL people are going to do. That's what all the Raymond James people are going to do. No, I'm creating flat fee content, flat fee advisors, advice only planners. Create content that reflects your strength as a person operating this business model. So look what I did, everybody. Look, whether or not you're in my program, you can actually have a copy of this. I'll give it to you for free just once, okay? But look, this is a 500-word blog, and guess what the topic is? How are my real estate assets included in my financial plan? Because guess what? The AUM advisor is not going to be touting their expertise and skill in analyzing real estate investments because they're not going to get paid because those are held away, right? Though they're not under their custody, they can't get their 1% on it, right? Nothing against them. That's just their business model. We're not bothering them right now. We're just focused on our unique strengths. This is an example of what you should be writing about when you're in the doctor's office or the DMV. 500 words a month you need to come up with. If you're on my program, I will give you the 500 words. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it to you in a sheet. You could customize it. Look, you could double click and put in your company logo, your header, whatever. And it's a quick little piece that talks about what are some ways we take real estate into account when we update your financial plan? Boom, 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 boom. By the way, if anybody disagrees everything that I write in these blogs, I will also customize the edits for you. You can edit yourself and send it out. I'm going to give it to you in Microsoft Word. If you want me to edit it for the whole group, everybody who's on the Flat Fee Advisor Marketing Program, like let's say I say something bogus. Let's say I say something like, you know, Roth is a taxable account, right? Let's say I say something bogusly wrong. Tell me and I'll fix it, okay? But anyways, this is just a written for you piece because everybody says, oh, I don't have any time. I don't have any time. I don't have any time. Okay, well, I'm giving you the writing piece, okay? If you're on my program. So on the starter level, $50 a month, this is one of the things that you get. And you can just sign your name here and author byline. Why is author byline important? It's just a simple thing like Joe Petrie is a financial advisor for college professors living in the Midwest, living in college professors in Indianapolis, whatever, okay? You have to think up a little tagline to SEO trigger. It's an SEO trigger. That's all that it is. Michael Hart is a New Jersey financial advisor. That's the byline. You have to make it up. If you don't know what to say, you can just ask me. I can come up with it to help you, okay? But see, I've even prompted you here in case you forget how to do it. Blank, insert your name as a financial advisor for blank, college professors, dentists in blank, in greater Madison, Wisconsin area, okay? And then a PS, here's some articles. Now, I've just included random articles from like Smart Asset or whatever, but you can include your own articles here. So what this is it's a template, a disclaimer. I'm prompting you to put in a disclaimer. This is templated content, okay, that I've written for you. That's why it's called Written for You. That's included as part of my program. But even if you're not in my program, I still think you should do it by yourself when you're sitting at the DMV or in the line at the grocery store. So those are the first two components of the Flat Fee Advisor Marketing Program that I'm offering, that a lot of you are on. But let me ask you, what questions do people have that are currently on this program? This is included in the basic level. This is $150 a month level, the basic program. Any questions on these features so far?
150 a month or 50 a month? I think I misheard.
What did you say?
Is it 50 a month or 150 a month?
Okay, let me show you this. That's a great question. Yeah, sorry, why did I make that so confusing? That was totally confusing. Thanks for pointing that out. Why am I so weird? Okay, look, basic program. These are the components. It's also on the Flatfee link, Joe, that I just put into the chat. Okay, basic program. I'm just going to go over the laundry list of things that you get on this basic program. 47 written for you financial advisor messages, the ebook. One written for you content piece of 500 words or more in case you don't go to the DMV or the doctors that month to be able to write it yourself. Financial Advisor Marketing Plan ebook. This is another ebook, a short ebook that outlines all the components of your marketing plan that you should have. This is I'm selling on my website for $47. It's included in the basic program is $150 a month. You get the ebook for free. One webinar a month on a flat fee marketing training topic. I'm going to train you on Flat Fee Advisor marketing for one 60-minute session a month as a group, all the Flat Fee advisors that are on the Flat Fee Advisor marketing program. Now, this month's webinar is consolidated. I have advice-only planners here. I have hourly planners here. Why? Because I was so busy with my immersion and I just launched these products 2 weeks ago. So I haven't had the chance to talk to people about it. And so I don't have like 20 advice-only planners on this yet to have a webinar. So I'm kind of consolidating everybody into one webinar. I hope that's okay. I think for this, it's okay because we're not talking about specific like real features yet. Anyways, one 60-minute Flat Fee Advisor marketing webinar a month. And it's going to be on various topics, not just LinkedIn. It's going to be on anything digitally related that, by the way, should be part of your marketing program. How to optimize your website. I'm going to really get down to the nitty-gritty details. How do you send a LinkedIn message? How do you optimize a blog for SEO purposes? I'm going to teach you all of these things. Sales pipelining. How do you get the pipeline full? How do you counter objections in the pipeline? What do you say in the first meeting? All of these topics. How do you hold a webinar for your clients? All of these marketing topics I'm going to do once a month, and I'm going to be talking with you as a group. It's recorded. You'll get the replay. We're still on the basic program here for $150 a month. Now, you also get one 60-minute LinkedIn webinar a month. There's a PDF report. I'm going to make you a one-pager. If you're on the basic for $150, I'm going to make you a one-pager talking about the SEO performance of your website. Now, I'm going to look at Google Search Console. If you're on my basic plan, you need to give me access to your Google Search Console so I could see the impressions, I could see the clicks, I could see the searches, so I can understand how your website is performing. But I'm going to give you an analysis, and I'm going to make recommendations about what to do to SEO optimize your website better. Now, why is SEO performance important? Because I'm sick of Rick Edelman stealing our keywords. I'm sick of Rick Edelman appearing for I'm a Flat Fee Advisor in New York. Okay, like if I type in go ahead, type in Flat Fee Advisor and Flat Fee Advisor near me and see what happens. Edelman comes up, Facet comes up. Facet is a flat fee firm, so we don't admonish them as much. Okay, but there's other advisors that are coming up for this, or like Flat Fee Advisor. If you're a Flat Fee Advisor, the ocean is blue. There's blue ocean, people. I am ranking for Flat Fee Advisor listing directory. Okay. What I'm saying is these SEO keywords are ripe for the taking. If I'm not even a financial advisor and I have a directory listing of Flat Fee financial advisors and I'm ranking on page 1 for this, there's no reason that you people should not be ranking for, I'm a Flat Fee Advisor in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm a advice-only planner in Boston, Massachusetts. I wish that I could go into your website and program it to optimize your blogs for you. But most of you are not my clients, and I cannot do it. So this is what I'm offering, a little report so that you can go and do it yourself, and I can advise you about what blogs to write to help you rank for these things. Dave Ramsey, local pros with second result, Aubrey. Amen. Thank you. See? Blood boiling.
If you type in advice only where I am, a whole bunch of green labeled very much not even fee only people will show up. And then there's 4 advertisements. I'm sorry, I cut somebody off, I think.
Blood boiling. My blood is boiling over this SEO effect, Daniel. Thank you for saying it. Okay, so everybody on this call, whether or not I ever see you again in my entire life, can you please help the movement, help yourselves, help the poor innocent souls out there just want to find a flat fee advisor and are getting directed to Dave Ramsey, Rick Edelman, and the AXA advisors that are choosing to advertise on Google. Okay, can you help me? Can you please help me so that at least I know that these forces are in motion, that we're claiming the internet back. I feel so strongly about this. My blood pressure, what is this called? Parabolic? What is it? This is like acute 135-degree angle. Okay, it goes like this when I think about these SEO words being stolen away from us. Okay. Next, we're still on the basic 150 a month one. 30% off the full ticket price to Immersion 2026. Now, Immersion 2026 is on early bird right now for $200. Some of you have already bought the ticket, but it's going to go up to 300. So you'll get a 30% discount off of that when it's time for me to put it back on full if you're part of my basic. So if you subscribe to my basic program, please don't buy the Immersion ticket until you say to me, Sarah, can I have the link for the discount so I can get my discount because I'm on your basic program? Okay. Now, 50% off your first 2 months of any Wealth Tender subscription plan. Again, don't go buying Wealth Tender without asking me for the code, because I have a secret code that you can't know unless you are on my basic plan. The Wealth Tender guy gave it to me because I worked out this deal with him. Okay. Wealth Tender basically is a service that he's, for a fee, helping advisors to get found in search. He has a website where he talks about, these are a list of Catholic financial advisors. This is a list of flat fee advisors. This is a list of advisors in North Dakota, whatever. Okay, so he's done the SEO work for you to have a high domain, high ranking website, wealthtender.com. And I'm not going to say it's guaranteed. Please don't misinterpret me, but a lot of people have subscribed to his service and have said that they've gotten leads from Wealth Tender. In my view, it's at least worth trying, which is why I've included a 50% discount here that I worked out the deal with the guy, okay? Now, there's Flat Fee Advisors matching tool. This is a Flat Fee Advisors directory. It's flatfeeadvisors.us. This is a directory that comes up when somebody searches on Flat Fee Advisor near me or how to find a Flat Fee Advisor. You could get a discount on that too. Again, I have the discount for the people that are just subscribed to the basic 150 plan. Now, this is the starter plan, the monthly LinkedIn webinar. And why did I say monthly LinkedIn webinar? I should have just said the marketing webinar. Well, you could come to the marketing webinar too. How's that? So 2 webinars a month. The general market, see, I'm adding this. I'm going to have to go tell my poor website guy is already working on my 3rd website. And now I'm going to have to tell him to make this change too. And on top of it, I'm a tech moron. I'm like, the website went down. Why is it doing? Like, I'm always like emailing him annoying things. You know what I'm saying? He must be so annoyed at me. Anyways, 1 LinkedIn webinar a month, 1 general marketing webinar a month. I'm just adding that in here. Sorry, I'll write it in a minute. And then the written for you monthly content piece. Again, just to refresh, the written for you content piece, this is the advice only marketing one. I wrote this for the advice only planners this month. I need help figuring out how to present my business for sale. I don't know what documents I need or what the next step is. And then I come in here, emphasizing your strengths as an advice only planner. Again, I have a 500-word one for flat fee advisors. It's written specifically for flat fee advisors. As an advice only planner, our focus is exclusively your financial plan, not managing your portfolio. See what I did there? Now, we have then the basic details of the blog. Boom, diddy, boom, author byline, and boom, there's the advice only written for you content piece, 500 words. That's included also in the starter plan. That's $50 a month. Okay. Now, if you want a little bit more personalized attention, There's a $250 one a month where you get everything in basic, but then just a 30-minute consultation with me over Zoom. So it's like a little more personalized attention. Okay. And those are the basic programs. Now, the written for you content, like I said, is literally written for you. I take a poll of all the advisors on the flat fee program, or all the advisors on the advice only program, or all the advisors on the hourly program. And then I say, what would you like me to write about this month for you? And then I will write the piece for you. Now, I'm only going to write one piece a month, which means we might have a little bit of a queue system. Whereas if there's something you really are burnt up about me wanting me to write about, I can write about it like maybe the next month, but you'll have to wait a month. Sorry. If it's really that much of an issue, if you need the content piece right away, then we can negotiate within the group. I could try to work it out within the group. Now, I've talked a lot here. What questions does everybody have about marketing as a flat fee, as an advice only? Let's open up the discussion. Or about these programs.
I guess, Sarah, how do you go about getting consumers to understand what advice only, flat fee, I mean, hourly is pretty self-explanatory, but even that can confuse consumers. So I guess, we're aiming it towards consumers who are maybe a little more sophisticated or have, done their diligence and understand that they don't want a traditional AUM type of relationship or, commission-based relationship. So how is that? I understand this is spreading the word, but how are you getting the message out to consumers, a broader consumer market?
Are you saying how does a flat fee advisor do that? Or how does an advice only planner do that?
Yeah, there's NAFA and, espousing the fee only, and, fee only has been around for decades now. So it's kind of like, this is a newer movement where it's a subset of fee only almost. And so I guess how, if I were to go talk to somebody at a cocktail party and I mention like what I do, and I say like I do hourly planning, advice only, they're going to be like, oh, what does that mean, advice only? And so, I think the broader consumer doesn't really understand these intricacies and nuances in what we're talking about.
Well, I think they wouldn't understand the word advice only probably. Because what is advice is even the question in that case. So I think that's a great question. I mean, this would be an example of something we would discuss as the marketing topic for the marketing webinar. How do you make it clear? Does anyone else have this problem or this question? Thank you, Ryan, by the way. That's a great question. I think I'm going to write a newsletter about that. Everybody chime in for a minute before I answer this. Does anybody else feel this way?
A little bit, yeah.
I've always had to third way it into the conversation, and it always ends up being like a 3-minute thing before okay, I get it. I've never had a simple, easy explanation.
How do you explain it, Daniel? Right, we can't use jargon.
Well, so like when it depends on who I'm talking to, and that's where it gets weird, is because it ends up being, I would never go up to somebody and say, hey, I'm a financial planner. It's after you've gotten into the conversation, you figure out who they are. Then you can say, oh yeah, well, I charge for advice. We just do the financial planning. We only do what you need. And then you can keep your assets where they are if you want to, or we can help you find a better place, or we can teach you how to manage them yourself, So that's kind of how I've always broached it, is from where they're coming from specifically. But then also that means you can say, yeah, but we can also give you, advice on cryptocurrency and your real estate. And because a lot of times, well, like real estate's a good example. A lot of your, people coming from the brokerage world's like, hey, if you're going to retire, sell all your stuff and then I can manage your investments for you. So they've heard that so many times that you saying anything that's the exact opposite triggers curiosity, at least.
James, could you say how you explain this, please?
The way I explain this to clients is I go, my job as a financial planner is to help people make hard financial decisions. And the way I run my business is I do not need to take on any assets to manage your assets or sell you any products. I charge for advice. And so that's usually how I answer that question.
Ryan, do you think that's good? Do you think that would work?
I think that it's helpful. Yeah. I mean, I think describing how you differentiate yourself or how you're different from other typical financial advisors or financial planners is helpful. But even distinguishing between what's a financial advisor versus a financial planner, and one's more investment and focus, maybe the other one isn't so much. I think again, there are all these nuances that it's hard to convey in a 1 minute pitch, like how you're different and why you would have a client's best interest maybe by using whatever model you're using.
Ryan, I think it's you can only do that so much. It's a way to add a little differentiation, but it's normally I have to then go in I have to focus on what are the hard financial decisions, like trying to sell yourself because you run a business model one way. The average consumer is not going to go out and figure out all the different business models and what's the best business model. You have to show value and how you can answer the questions. And then over time, if we can get more people behind this thought process and this movement there, then we might be able to educate the masses at a higher level. But that's kind of my take on it is, here's why I try to be a little different, but then I have to focus on what is the hard decisions you need to answer to sell myself. That's the best I got so far. I'll let you know if I come up with anything better here.
We got snarky answers
Sarah.
that you don't want to be recorded. Oh, go ahead, Ed. What was you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's important to distinguish between the effort to get all this SEO benefit from the flat fee language. That's its own endeavor, and there's value in doing that. And then versus having that as part of your value proposition that you might share, just verbally or for some other reason. I do think, and I've screwed this up a million different ways, and so I feel like I'm getting a little closer to doing this better myself, but I think it's much more valuable to be really clear about your niche, the group of people that you're actually serving as the priority, and your fee structure as part of that. But I just don't know that I'm personally convinced that clearly the public, I don't know of another industry where there's more disconnect between the public and what we can do to help them. So it's tough to overcome. I just think that's a big task to hope one day clients all get it. I just don't think that day is coming. But I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. I think a lot of what Sarah you're talking about, at least in my own mind, I try to keep that they're just separate things. There's SEO initiatives and getting the flat fee. That alone just separates you out, period. If in fact you're using that as part of your your business is structured, but leading with a value proposition, an elevator pitch or whatever, that has to include all the where you're leading with the flat fee. I don't know that those are the same things. I don't know that that's all that valuable to go out and wave that flat fee flag as the first thing I share with somebody, because I don't think they get what the standard.
Yeah, no, I
structure.
think, okay. Ryan, this is what I would offer you as well. Thank you, Ed. Okay. Yes, flat fee, we should be yelling and screaming on the internet about that, because if someone's looking for a flat fee advisor, you want to be found for it. Okay. On your website, you want to be very clear with when they get interested and they're looking at you. But I think what we need to do is get away from the idea when we're talking and when we're value pitching. All right? I think we have to get away from the idea of it being about the fee, and we have to emphasize the idea of it being transparent. Okay, because I think you'll agree, it's not just that the fee is more transparent, Ryan. It's that I'm constantly looking for conflicts of interest. I'm less likely to do business with somebody that's in some kind of a revenue sharing because I'm independent. I'm my own boss. I'm careful about what I do with your money, the different vehicles I might put it in. So I do things in a more pure, clean, and logical way that aligns better with giving more value to you instead of the industry. I think that's what we need to be emphasizing rather than just the particular fee of it, okay? Because in some cases we might be higher as flat fee advisors. In some cases, it might be actually better for them to even be doing business on an AUM basis, which is why a lot of people that offer flat fee or advice only will go ahead and offer AUM as well in some cases. Because sometimes it does financially work out better in terms of the actual net dollar, but I don't think we want to go with what the net dollar amount is. I think we want to say, I delve more deeply into what the actual solutions are, rather than just taking it at face value and throwing it into a product. That I provide a clearer and more transparent roadmap that would be the result of all the planning and analysis that we do together. So in other words, I think it's like, we want to be talking about, we're more analytical and we're more logical in how we make decisions for you. I think that should be what would sell us, not necessarily, and I'm not directing this at anybody here in particular, okay? Please don't take it the wrong way. But I think if we just emphasize the fee, we're going to pigeonhole ourselves, because people are going to also say, well, hourly advice is conflicted in certain ways too. Flat fee is convicted in certain ways too. Okay, fine. But I'm not investing in BlackRock mutual funds for you that get a kickback to Merrill Lynch, right? See, that's how we would be different.
I think it almost always takes a short story.
Yeah.
To tell them, I mean, because like, okay, yeah, theoretically, some people would be better off with different fee structures from a mathematical point of view. But as soon as you come off that spreadsheet, there's an EJ advisor that has not talked to this client in 7 years, and she's paying $14,000 a year, and she can't even get somebody to call her back. That's, you know what I mean? So they're like, I mean, nobody's doing the work. None of the work, the money's just sitting there and people are getting paid off of it. So a lot of instances, one of my snarky things is if you're getting free financial planning, it's kind of like getting free candy in a van, it's probably not a safe or good idea. But you can also say, I'll say, look, most of the time when you're getting free advice from somebody, it's the salesperson, not the mechanic. And they think that they're helping you, but they may or may not be helping you. Because the only thing that they, a lot of times, we had somebody who's putting themselves on a financial advisor. They have 3 weeks of training at State Farm. Are they a financial advisor? I mean, in the broadest category, the guy that sells you tires on a commission basis is sort of a mechanic, kind of. But you shouldn't let him mess with your transmission or your engine or your electronic control modules or anything. They shouldn't be doing any inspection. They shouldn't be, So, I mean, I think that unfortunately it comes down to telling people real stories and giving them analogies of stuff.
I agree on that, Sarah.
I'm sorry, David?
Yeah, I just went there with, I think I shared with you, I was doing my ADV with my partner and he's AUM. So I had to go through, he kept comparing himself because he's only charging 50 beeps, 0.5%. He doesn't do any planning. And so we got into this rebuttal on, why am I doing this or why am I going that direction? So I said, well, let me just ask you, what are you doing with your clients? Because I see all his clients. I said, what are you doing with your clients besides your portfolio. And he knows what I'm saying. He's not doing any planning, any retirement planning, any tax review. So I listed the 6 things that I did. And I said, that's what we do differently than what you're doing. So I think part of it is trying to tell the story, maybe of what your background is. I can tell the story that, hey, I used to do a lot of AUM. I found that people weren't doing planning, conflict of interest. I think exactly what you just previously said is you have to find out who you're talking to first. And then, sometimes I'll say, oh, you're working with so-and-so. Well, I used to be part of a Wall Street firm, but I just got tired of the conflicts of interest. And this is what I ended up doing. This is why I did it. And this is what we're doing. And I think you got to find out where they're coming from. But yeah, if you just go out there and just say, I'm cheaper and I'm a fee, I think people think they're paying the same to everybody. As far as the fee.
Or a lot of people think they're not paying anything at all,
Yeah. I mean, as far as the
which
fee
is
thing,
crazy. But
the fee thing, everybody's paying a fee. Everybody thinks they're a fiduciary. The fee word is used too frequently now. So you have to distinguish what you do different.
but I mean, but it is part of it's okay, you're paying this fee and you're not getting any in return. Like, would it be okay if I charge you for mowing your lawn every single week, but I only showed up once a year, maybe every other year? People just don't know that they're getting gypped because they don't. I mean, we're selling an intangible, credence-based service, and that's really hard for people. They don't know what they're supposed to expect. I mean, and so that's why we get people that are asking for investment performances, because we've, as an industry, have trained them that that's what they should be looking for. Right,
and there is no value in planning because we haven't done a good job as an industry educating people on planning. Our industry is strictly, right now, what is everybody doing? They're looking at their portfolios. It's all about their portfolios.
Yeah.
They're looking at tax loss harvesting. They're not looking at planning they need to do because we've all been conditioned, us in the business and the public, that it's all about the market. So
and I would say it's even a step worse than that. Like, we've tripped, and now half of the industry is selling the plans as if it is a one-time product. Like, okay, we did your financial plan, it's done.
Yeah.
Like,
that's been from the initial of time, though, in my experience. Because I think it's always been a leader to product sales way back in history.
Yeah. So
But
maybe
that's
it's talking about what is actually valuable and what it actually gets done, because preventing people from doing stupid things on accident is actually where most of the value is. And one of the stupid things people do is accidentally pay almost, 2.5%, 3% for investment management that one computer is doing. Nobody's even doing anything.
Do you think anybody knows what financial planning is?
I think
Do
they know
your
what
parents
they're
know what
thinking.
financial planning is? Everybody on this call, do your parents know?
No, I don't think the average person knows. I think they get introduced to a very goal-based plan and they think that, that's it. But
Okay. So do you think if we're having a discussion about marketing ourselves as flat fee and advice only and hourly, that maybe we should focus a little bit more on that? Because isn't it going to be impossible to really describe our value proposition if we're talking about something that people don't even know what it is, or they think it's something that it's like, I mean, maybe that's what it should be.
90% of the time plus, the answer is not a financial product. It's something simple, but it's something you have to extract from the client. Like the actual math for why they should do this or this is easy. That's like 3 minutes, but getting to the point where they're able to tell you all that stuff, that's all the work. All the work is getting enough of stuff out of their brain to be able to do that part of the financial planning.
Aubrey, I could tell that you're thinking something. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm always thinking.
That's why I said that.
I think the folks that I've come across, they when they hear financial planning or financial advisor, they think someone who knows how to do something with my money better than I do. And beyond that, how it works or how they will get there or even what they will get in short-term, long-term results, that's all in that vague unknown. And so I think there's a huge education component there, showing what a real meeting looks like, showing what a plan looks like, and of course everyone's different, but people have no idea. So yeah, I agree with the folks and you who have said, it's not only is it an intangible product, it's an unknown intangible product. That's like several levels of abstraction that we can actually do something about.
Well, and it's even so like if you have the best brain surgeon of the whatever region of the brain is probably known because there's there's an output that is seen by hundreds of people. It's measured, like, our outcomes are not measured in any way that's, look at all our industry standards are how much AUM did you gather this year? Right? Like that's we don't have any KPIs for financial planning to say, hey, this person's so much better than they were going to be. And I mean, that's what we need. We need some type of ways to show that the process of financial planning is worth doing, because what most of the industry has gotten really good at conspicuous care, but then not actually doing the work.
So the analogy that I use a lot is similar to like the tire thing. I'll ask people like, hey, have you ever gone and bought a car? Of course, like everybody said yes. And they talk about how the guy who's selling them the car offers them, this warranty and all these extra packages. And nobody knows what they're talking about or what's covered and what's not covered. And then they get to the finance guy, and the finance guy puts them through the ringer again. And I just say, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if you could bring somebody with you who was, completely impartial to whether you bought a warranty or didn't, but you knew because you were paying that person a fee to actually be your advisor, somebody who could actually tell you like, hey, you want this protection, you don't need this protection, so don't spend that money there. Like, this is sort of just like an impartial party who can tell you like, what you really need, because you can go anywhere on CNBC or wherever and read 10 different articles that tell you to do 10 different things. And that's just how I sort of couch it, which is just, I get in there and I don't know if it's right, but I throw elbows and I talk about the 1%. And if you're paying somebody 10 grand a year, like, what are you really getting for it? And if you're paying somebody 20 grand a year, like, what are you getting for 20 grand a year that somebody who's paying 10 grand a year isn't really getting? And what happens if you want to take half your AUM money and buy something, and now that guy's going to lose half his paycheck? Like, if they're willing to listen to me, like, I talk about why I think I'm better. And in most cases, I'm less expensive. And
that's what's weird is you accidentally end up being less expensive, but that's like wasn't even the goal.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I use the buying the car analogy. I'm sure there's probably like a better way to couch it, but I haven't figured out one yet. The other thing I tell people a lot of times is just like, listen, you're paying, like, because what AUM advisors will say now is you're paying for the investment management and you're getting the planning for free. And I always just kind of say, like, I don't think there's that much to manage when it comes to investments. Some people will disagree with that, and that's fine. But I mean, I think we've all seen the Dalbar studies, and it's pretty clear it's tough to generate alpha.
Yeah.
So,
well, if it's a investment that if it's a stock or bond or a very mature market, there's no meat on the bone. There might have been in the 30s, but you know, and there is in places most people shouldn't even be invested in. And there is active management that works. Like you know, real estate businesses, like there's things that actually need to be actively managed, but you don't need this like fourth level of active management on top of something that's being active managed on top of a business that's being actively managed. That's just crazy. That's insane. And that's what, you know, most of your actual active mutual funds are like that. They're like funds of funds that are, you know, and that's, people just don't understand how ludicrous that is.
Yeah, I like, again, if they'll listen, like I try not to get too deep into the weeds, but one of the things I'll say is like, hey, if somebody's charging you 1% to manage your money, like if you really want to freak them out, like go in there and ask them if they've actually generated any alpha in the portfolio. Because I'm guessing they probably, now like most people are going to be like, well, what the hell is alpha? But like you know, again, like I have no qualms about like calling out some of the bad practices I see from other advisors and making them justify their fees. Because I think if people knew better, like a lot of those guys would be out of business. And I personally have no problem with that.
Yeah. I mean, playing devil's advocate, I know 10 different people that happen to charge AUM that I would send clients to. And a lot of them are charging 75 basis points for not that much wealth and doing a great financial planning job. But like that is such the exception that it's just, you know, it's just so rare that happens. It's more rare than somebody trying to align their business model with their ethics.
So everybody knows, we all know Andy Panko, right? That spoke at the immersion. That Andy closed his business basically in less than 2 years to new clients. He had enough new clients. He started and then he had enough new clients before 2 years were up. And he wasn't taking new clients for a while until he hired his first employee. Let me ask you all of you that know Andy, why do you think, and so for those of you that don't know Andy, I'm sorry, but you'll get the point when we discuss what the answer to this is, okay? How did Andy Panko get at full capacity in less than 2 years? How did he do it? Somebody tell me how.
He built an orchard by actually marketing in a loving manner by just answering people's questions until it got to a network effect capacity that, I mean, it's like 70,000 people now or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But basically,
okay.
he built an orchard.
I would, yeah, I mean, like if I had to boil it down even further, I would just say like he gave away so much information that, you know, that it just reached a point where like people were like, I want to work with you. And I think, you know, oftentimes, like for myself, that's how I end up spending money, is when someone helps me, you know, and doesn't ask for anything. Like I sort of make a mental note, like if there's anything I can ever do for this person, especially like to help their business, like I'm going to jump all over it. And so I think giving a lot of it away, like a lot of people have a mindset of like, well, if I give it all away, like no one's going to need me. But I think in my experience, the opposite is true, which is like, the more you give away, the more people are like, I want to work with you.
Yeah, but he wasn't just giving out like generic broad information. He was specifically answering what this one person answered.
Yeah.
Or asked, you know. So like he already knew that content was in perfect alignment with his audience.
Okay, so for all of you that are on this call that might not know who Andy Panko is, does anybody not know what I'm talking about? Okay, so
I know
everybody knows.
of Andy, but I don't know what his business, what his niche is, I guess.
Okay, so basically Andy Panko he was a analyst on a corporate like derivatives trading desk, okay? And on a Wall Street firm. And he studied for the CFP. And then he took the CFP and started his progress on it, and then quit his job and started what is Tenon Financial. He started his planning firm in the middle of COVID. And he established a Facebook group. First, he tried going to conferences and it didn't work. Like being a booth sponsor, and it didn't work. It was the middle of COVID, so he started a Facebook group, and he got other financial advisors in there, and he just started posting answers to tax questions. Like if you go to his Facebook group, somebody just put it in the chat. But here's the thing, Ryan, it wasn't just, all you were saying, well, he gave away free information, but a lot of people give away free information. It wasn't that. It wasn't that as much. It was this. Have you ever talked to Andy Panko or heard him talk? He's encyclopedic, but he's professorial. He's clear. He doesn't talk in a way that's hard to understand or that's boring. He makes it easy he made complicated tax things easy to understand without sounding patronizing. And the group grew to 10,000, 20,000, 40,000. Now it's at 70,000 people. And he had to hire other people eventually at his firm, but he filled up to capacity in less than 2 years because of that. And I will put the podcast into the comments field. I'm going to give you an example of something, and I hope nobody takes this personally. But last year after the immersion, I thought, well, why don't we start a transparency Facebook group? And I got Andy in it and a bunch of other financial advisors. Sorry, I don't need to offend anybody that was in that Facebook group. Please don't be offended. But I have to make this point. I have to make it because I think I have the answer. That the people, high net worth investors would come in and they would ask a question. The group eventually went nowhere. I just kind of tuckered out. I don't know. But what happened was they would ask a question about something and the other advisors would answer it. And then Andy would answer it. And it was like night and day, the difference between Andy's answer and other people in that group. Again, please, nobody take it personally if you were one of them. But what I could say is that he wasn't rambly, but the way that he explains things is so, it's how he communicates it, that he makes it easy to understand. He makes it clear and transparent so that it's not just some esoteric tax advice. And he also has you should watch him on YouTube if you're not sure what I'm saying by this. I think it's going to be hard for me to describe it. I know it, and I don't like it when people say, oh, go read this book or go watch this person or go listen to this podcast, because it's like, I got 4 kids in a business. Okay, honey, like tell me how to buy a house. Like, don't tell me to go read a book. But the best thing I could tell you is if you want to learn how to be an effective communicator, look at how he communicates. Because it's not just that, it's that he has knowledge that some financial advisors actually don't even have. He's taken it upon himself. He paid like $3,000, I think, one year to go to some sophisticated tax conference because I think he said this on my podcast. He said it somewhere. I think it was on my podcast, he said it. But that he was listening to some podcast that was a free podcast, but he said he felt like the guy should have been charging people to listen to the podcast because that's what good tax advice it was. So he took his tax advice, he modeled himself after somebody that was an equally skilled communicator. So I just want you to look at, am I saying the same thing as other financial advisors are saying? Because this is where people get the idea of financial planning being just an e-money printout or some basic blah, blah, blah thing that a 25-year-old could, no offense to anybody who's 25, that some college intern could do. Could a college intern do this? See, that's where I think we're falling short, is that how do we justify the value of a financial plan? Well, I'd hate to say it, but I mean, I've seen some of these financial plans and I don't know if they're actually that good. So maybe, I mean, I understand we're having a marketing call here, right? But like, maybe the part about the marketing isn't what the selling point should be. Maybe it should be, we should just be better. Like maybe we should find a way to make our plans better.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. And, thank you to, I think it was Ed or Daniel who mentioned telling a story. because that's about the only way I found is how I get referrals. Is if you tell anyone you're a financial advisor, I mean, it could be a guy who's 6'4", 230 pounds of muscle at the gym. I'm a fun-sized person. He'll take a step away from me. I guarantee it. He'll be scared. He'll be like, "Are you going to scam me?" But if I talk with someone and I tell a story, that's where I think they start to see the value. And so I've gone to one person. They said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a financial planner. Could I give you an example of what that looks like?" I gave him the chance to opt into that because I didn't want to just start talking at someone. People hate that. And then I said, "Here's an example. I had a client come in, and our very first meeting, she burst out crying because she went through a terrible divorce and she didn't feel like she could retire." And I said, by the time we were done working, she felt confident about her ability to retire and that she could take care of herself. And I said, "That's what I do." That was a really good lead. He made some referrals after that. Did I close? No, because people got sticker shock at what I charge. And that's a whole different conversation. But I think just to get that interest, you want to be telling those stories.
I think some people only process that way too. Like you could give them the numbers, it doesn't matter. They're only going to process it if you have, a fairly linear verbal story.
Ryan, was this helpful?
Yeah, it's a great discussion. Very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. This was only supposed to be a half hour, believe it or not. Okay. Can we end the webinar now?
Can we get to the marketing discussion now? That's what I had a question.
Okay, I'm going to end this now. So, this was the kickoff meeting for flat fee advisor marketing, advice only marketing, and hourly marketing. If you want to be on these programs, just send me a note. If cost is an issue, you're starting out, whatever, it's okay. Don't worry. We could talk about it. I don't want cost for anybody at any point. Okay. I called you here because I like you professionally. Okay. I like the way you are professionally. If cost is an issue for anybody, let's have a conversation and see what we could do. Okay. I don't want cost to be a reason anybody doesn't work with me. Okay. All right. Thank you. Please come to the immersion meetups. We have one on April 9th. And just keep reading, keep talking to each other. All right. And let me know if you have any questions. And I'll write about them in one of the newsletters, okay? Amen. Thanks, everybody. Bye.